What if I told you that in 1820, America was so weak, so irrelevant, that it controlled less than 2% of the entire world's economy? China and India dominated everything. Britain ruled the seas. America was just a small, struggling experiment. But then something happened. Something so extraordinary that in just 200 years, America went from 2% to controlling 26% of the entire world's wealth. $32.4 trillion, the single largest economy in human history. This is not a story about luck. This is a story about war, innovation, betrayal, and ruthless ambition. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at America the same way again. Welcome to Real Economy. I'm going to take you on a journey through 200 years of American economic history, broken down into 6 chapters. Chapter 1. The farming nation nobody took seriously. Chapter 2. The Industrial Revolution that changed everything. Chapter 3. How 2 world wars made America insanely rich. Chapter 4. The dollar domination. Chapter 5. Silicon Valley and the tech empire. Chapter 6. America Today. Still number 1, but for how long? Let's go. Let's go back to 1800. America had just gained independence from Britain. But nobody was scared of America. Not even a little bit. Think about this. In 1800, more than 80% of all Americans were farmers. That's it. Farm, grow crops, survive. The economy was almost entirely agricultural. Cotton was king in the South, wheat and corn in the North. There were no factories, no railroads, no steel mills. And here's something shocking. At this time, China and India together controlled nearly 50% of the entire world's economy. America, less than 2%. Britain was the world's superpower. They had the navy, the factories, the colonies. America was basically Britain's annoying younger sibling who had just left home. But America had something Britain didn't. Land, enormous, endless, resource-rich land. Between 1783 and 1853, just 70 years, America more than tripled in size. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 alone doubled America's territory for just $15 million. That's less than 3 cents per acre. The greatest real estate deal in history, and this land was full of coal, iron, timber, oil, the raw materials of an industrial revolution. America was about to wake up. Before we get to Chapter 2, I want to tell you something that will completely change how you see American history. The real reason America became an industrial giant had nothing to do with American genius. It had everything to do with a single man who disguised himself as a farmer, broke British law, and smuggled the most valuable industrial secret of the 1700s inside his own head. I'll explain in just a moment. In 1789, a 21-year-old British textile worker named Samuel Slater made a dangerous decision. Britain had made it illegal for skilled textile workers to leave the country. Britain knew their industrial machinery was their most powerful weapon, but Slater had spent years working in Britain's most advanced cotton mills. He had memorized every detail of Richard Arkwright's revolutionary water-powered spinning machines. So he disguised himself as a farmer and sailed to America. By 1793, working with local partners, Slater rebuilt those machines entirely from memory and opened America's first successful water-powered cotton spinning mill in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. The British called him Slater the Trader. Americans called him the father of the American Industrial Revolution. And from that single mill, everything exploded. Railroad tracks went from 35,000 miles in 1865 to over 200,000 miles by 1900. Steel production exploded from just 19,000 tons in 1867 to over 11 million tons by 1900. By 1880, American steel surpassed Britain. By 1890, America was producing twice as much as its closest competitor. 14 million immigrants arrived between 1860 and 1900. Irish, Italian, German, Polish, Chinese workers, building railroads, working in steel mills, running factories. By 1900, America was officially the world's largest economy, but the biggest explosion was still coming. Now here's a question that most economics textbooks refuse to answer honestly. How did America go from the world's largest economy in 1900 to holding nearly two-thirds of the world's entire gold reserves by 1945? The answer is dark, and most Americans don't want to hear it. Chapter 3, coming right up. World War I started in 1914. Europe was on fire. Britain, France, Germany, Russia, all bleeding men and money. America stayed out until 1917. But here's what America was doing during those 3 years. Selling. Weapons, ammunition, food, supplies, all flowing to Europe. American factories ran 24 hours a day. Before World War I, America was a debtor nation. By 1918, America had completely flipped. Now Europe owed America billions. Then came World War II. From 1939 to 1941, American factories were producing war supplies for Britain under Lend-Lease, eventually sending over $650 billion worth of supplies in today's money. When World War II ended in 1945, Germany destroyed, Japan destroyed, Britain broke, France rebuilding, Soviet Union, 27 million dead. America came out stronger. By 1944, America held nearly two-thirds of the entire world's gold reserves and dominated global manufacturing like no country in history. Then America made the smartest economic move ever. In July 1944, 1 year before World War II even ended, 730 delegates from 44 countries met in a small hotel in New Hampshire. What they decided in that meeting gave America control over the entire world's money supply for the next 80 years. This is Chapter 4, and it might be the most important economic story you'll ever hear. July 1944, Mount Washington Hotel, Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. 730 delegates, 44 nations, one decision that shaped 80 years of world history. America controlled two-thirds of the world's gold. Nobody could argue. The Bretton Woods Agreement made the U.S. dollar the world's reserve currency. Every other currency fixed to the dollar. Dollar fixed to gold at $35 per ounce. If Japan wanted oil, it needed dollars. Brazil trading with Germany needed dollars. India importing wheat needed dollars. Every international transaction required U.S. dollars. America made itself the world's bank. In 1971, Nixon removed the gold backing completely. The world kept using dollars anyway. Today, in 2026, over 58% of all global foreign exchange reserves are held in U.S. dollars. The euro, just 20%. This is called exorbitant privilege, the invisible engine funding American power for 80 years. So by 1970, America was untouchable, world's largest economy, world's reserve currency, world's military superpower. Then Japan started making better cars, better electronics, at lower prices. American manufacturing started bleeding jobs, and everything was about to change again. Chapter 5. By the 1970s, America had a serious problem. Japan making better products, manufacturing struggling, unemployment rising. Then something happened in a small valley south of San Francisco. 1975, Microsoft founded in a garage. 1976, Apple launched by Jobs and Wozniak in a garage. 1993, Internet opened to the public. America didn't just create products. It created entirely new industries, search engines, social media, e-commerce, smartphones, streaming. You can copy a factory. You cannot copy Google's algorithm. You cannot replicate Amazon's network. You cannot copy Apple's ecosystem. America weaponized intellectual property. By 2020, America's top 5 tech companies alone were worth over $7 trillion. Larger than GDP of every country except China and America itself. When you use WhatsApp in India, American company makes money. Google in Germany, American company makes money. Netflix in Brazil, American company makes money. America built platforms the entire world runs on. This is how 4% of world's population generates 26% of world's economic output. So we've covered 200 years of American dominance. But here's the question everyone is afraid to ask in 2026. Is America actually still winning? Or is China quietly taking over, right now, while America debates its own problems? The data might surprise you. Final chapter. Real numbers of 2026. America's nominal GDP, $32.4 trillion. Still world's largest. China, $20.8 trillion. Second. But adjusted for purchasing power parity, China's economy is already larger at $44.3 trillion versus America's $32.4 trillion. America's GDP growth Q1 2026 was 2.1%, solid but not explosive. Real cracks appearing. National debt crossed $36 trillion, housing unaffordable for millions. Wages growing slower than prices. But here's what America still has. Dollar, 58% of global reserves. Innovation, most Nobel Prize winners. Military, strongest in history. Immigration, world's best talent still chooses America. Every time America faced a serious challenge, it reinvented itself. Farming nation became industrial giant. Manufacturing decline gave birth to Silicon Valley. Now comes the AI test. The country that wins AI dominates the next century. America is ahead, but the gap is closing. Fast. From 2% to 26% of the world's economy in 200 years. It took a stolen industrial secret, 2 world wars, the smartest currency agreement in history, and Silicon Valley. It took millions of immigrants, ruthless industrialists, and brilliant inventors. America didn't just build an economy, it built a system, and made the entire world dependent on that system. The real economy question now is simple. Can America do it one more time? Subscribe to Real Economy. New videos every week. All facts, no opinions, just the real economy. See you in the next one.